Jesus freak here. So, big part of my circumstances is, as no doubt you've noticed me mentioning, that I have both physical and mental disabilities. So it's like, no one wants me. There's a reason that the last three relationships I had were in 2000, well, maybe 99, you could say, 2001, and 2011. When you're someone like me who's unable to be a provider in a traditional sense, no one's gonna want you. It's like, well, can't you get a job despite your situation? The problem is that in our society, people like me are often seen as something to be pitied and not necessarily fully human in our own rights. I mean, yeah, you do have people who are able to live full lives, more or less normal with just minor adaptations, who are more disabled than I am. I've been kicked down most of my life. I spend most of my life being treated like trash because, who the hell are you? What the hell are you? The closest I've lived to any, family's a big thing. The closest I've lived to any of my family in the past 30 years, and this is without exaggeration, it's 150 miles. My family ain't exactly that well off either, so the fact that I'm not that well off, they can't do anything about that. They got their own lives to deal with. And a lot of times, this is a result of the American mindset. When we think to give the person with disabilities work, it's legal to pay them less than minimum. Oftentimes, it's seen not as a way they can lead a normal life, but just as a way to keep their hands busy. And in fact, often they make so little, it costs more to get to and from work than they earn at their jobs. It's like, if I had a job, I'd actually be worse off than I am without one, getting disability checks. And who wants someone who can't provide for them, right? When I came up with a system I called modified complementarianism. I took this into consideration. It's like, what about people who can't work? What about men who can't be the breadwinners? Do we say that because it's impossible for them to be the breadwinners and impermissible for their wives to be the breadwinners, that they can't get married, that they can't have normal lives, that they have to be beholden to their parents only because circumstances don't let them live a normal life? So my modification was to say, in the case that you couldn't divide the normal workload in the traditional way, that it was acceptable to reallocate to fill practicality. Like if the man couldn't be the breadwinner, then the woman could be the breadwinner and the man could take on some of her roles, traditional roles. It's a concession to reality. A lot of people aren't willing to concede to reality because they don't realize that these are problems. So it's like, look at me. I'm 45. I've never had a meaningful relationship. I've had relationships, never had any meaningful ones. I haven't had a close relationship that I can really say I was close with someone. And even then, I am still saving myself for marriage. It means I'll probably die with my V card. So, the last time I got anywhere near that was almost 30 years ago. I was 16, 17. So when I talk about, I don't think I'm going to have to, I don't think I'm going to be blessed with that kind of relationship. I have reason to say that. I'm not just being Debbie Downer. Like, for someone like me, who hardly leaves the house except when I absolutely have to, I used to get out more, but right now, I'm basically just keeping things down to the minimum. Because objective one is to survive. Maslow's pyramid, you can't get to the top until you got off the bottom. And even being a wallflower at church, I think everyone thinks I'm a weirdo. It's like, it ain't gonna happen. I've just decided that that's okay. Would I like it to happen? Would I like to find love? Absolutely. Keeping in mind that circumstances make that next to impossible. I'm not going to say impossible. But if it's God's will that I be forever alone, it's God's will that I be forever alone. The internet is probably the only thing that's kept me completely from going mad. Jesus, freak out.